fans? It's the one and only optibotimus coming to you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Studio Series Voyager class Decepticon Brawl. If you'd like to get him or any of the other new Studio Series figures, you can do so right now at Big Bad Toy Store. For the packaging, this is the front of the box, this is the side of the box, and this is the back of the box. Go ahead and pause it right now in case there's anything on the back here that you would like to read. But for the packaging on this guy, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. And here he is, opened up out of his packaging and obviously in his, well-armed tank mode. Now, I know a lot of people have kind of criticized the Studio Series. They don't like the scale. They think that they're too small. Especially for the price. When you take a look at something like this, which is a $20 figure, this is pretty small. This is about a $35 figure. Prices are going up. I mean, I really feel like that's kind of a moot point at this point in time. It's happening. I mean, we either adapt and go along with it, or we just get out of the hobby. So I feel like $35 is what this is, but what you're looking at is a more in scale across the line version of Brawl. For some comparisons, just getting that right out of the way. Here is Brawl and here is Jazz. One of the fun scenes was Jazz coming in, transforming, lifting up the cannon a la the original 80s film where Cup did that. I think it was to Blitzwing. Yeah, it was Blitzwing. I mean, I thought that was a great throwback. So you can see there is a size going on here. Here we have, I don't remember which Dread that is, but here's a Decepticon Suburban. You can see the size of that. So, I mean, he's a pretty good size, to be totally honest. Obviously, he's probably going to be a lot bigger than this. So in this scale, I mean, this is usually too small. It's definitely too big in this instance. But let's bring in some of the Decepticons from that first movie. Here's Starscream. This probably should be a lot bigger as well, but again, scale-wise, I think it works pretty good. Robot mode is basically where you're looking at the majority of the in-scale-ness of the figures, but I think that this looks pretty good. And then let's bring in the Big Daddy, massive leader class Blackout. This is definitely a really big figure by comparison. The helicopters are huge vehicles. A tank is still pretty big by comparison to a lot of, I guess, other vehicles in general. So I mean, I think it's okay. Now, obviously, it looks a lot bigger because he has his weapons pegged in here. Let me detach these so you can get a little bit better of an idea. So, removing those, this is more or less the way that he is. So, again, comparison purposes. I don't think it's all that bad. I know people are still going to complain about it, but I like it. I think it looks pretty good. For the weapons, you have these. They're mostly used in his robot mode. I don't understand the purpose in having this articulate. I think that's kind of silly. I know the leader class figure, it did that because it tucked away for transformation. I think it's kind of silly that that's there. Oh, this does this? That removes too. I didn't even know that. That slides right out. Okie dokie. That's kind of cool. You can do that. Can anything else slide out that I don't know about? And then he's got this gun missile thingamybobber that goes on his other arm again. I'll show you how to do these here in a bit. It just tabs in here. But vehicle mode wise looks pretty darn good, I think. Much more accurate color. Oh, you know, I guess I should do the comparison that everybody complains. People complain because I don't do comparisons of the original figure. A lot of times I don't have the original figure in my display anymore, so it's hard to do it. Now, obviously, this is a leader class figure. I still really like this one. This is definitely going to be a tough kind of decision for me on, do I replace my Brawl figure that I have had since 2007 with this one? It's really tough. I don't know. Robot mode, he looks a lot better. Tank, obviously, is pretty big. I think that this is a little bit better of a scale. Honestly, a tank should be bigger, and I just imagine Jazz transforming and lifting this up. So, to be totally honest, this might end up staying just for scale purposes, but this is what you have. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about is I don't like these. As you can see, these little bits can be pointed straight. Well, it's hard to see, but you can kind of point them straight. That's the way that it should be. These are going off on the side. I don't know if that's the way that it was in the movie, to be totally honest with you. I don't remember. But I don't like the fact that they're just pointing off on the side like this. I think that's kind of lazy, to be honest, in terms of making it so that these can rotate all the way around. I also wish that there was a little bit more paint. As you can see, you got some, I mean, the paint's not really good, but at least these are off colored. This is all molded in the same color, so maybe a little bit of silver would have looked pretty good, or just some kind of different paint job there to make it stand out a little bit more, especially for his robot mode, because here in vehicle mode, you know, it doesn't really matter, and these are like minesweepers or something like that. The robot mode, though, I wish it did have a slightly different paint detail on there just to kind of pull it out. The other thing that really does kind of stink is I don't like this. It just looks, it doesn't look like it's all the way down, to be honest. It just kind of sits there. Now, in doing it, I mean, it kind of keeps everything still straight, so it's okay. So it's kind of a optical illusion. This is pointed up, whereas this kind of dangles on the back. I don't like that gappiness there. And as far as I can tell, and I actually did watch MGO316's video on this. His was the exact same, and I don't think he even mentioned that, but I don't like that. That just looks like it's not a part of the tank. I wish it would sit down a little bit more, and I don't see really a way for it to lock down and tab in. But because of that, and the way that the whole thing transforms, the turret here does not rotate. That kind of stinks. I mean, at least this one, you know, you could rotate that all the way around. This can also slide up and down. This does not move at all. Now, this here, you are supposed to tab it down and lock it into place. Underneath here are a couple little slots, and then there's some tabs that you push this down, and that locks that into place. When you lock it into place, this doesn't do anything. If you keep it detached and just kind of keep it down there, this actually will rotate, which I like. I just wish the whole darn thing could rotate. But if you're going by the way the instructions actually show you to do all this, that's supposed to be locked down, so that's not supposed to spin or anything. But you can get away with that as it just kind of sits up a little bit. I mean, it's already kind of separated there. I mean, what's the difference there? I mean, that actually looks a little bit more natural. This doesn't look like it's really doing anything, so that is kind of unfortunate. But it's still a good looking toy. Like I said, I don't know. I'm really on the fence now, playing with the original Leader Class one, on whether or not I want to replace this guy in my collection with this toy. So I don't know. We'll see. Let me get him in robot mode, and we'll go from there. So to transform him, you're going to notice that, and people mentioned, you know, that this guy transforms a lot like the Human Alliance figure. A lot of these figures share similar kind of transformations. They're different, but there's like a familiarity with it. So with this guy, you come around here to the side, and you pull these pieces back like that, and then fold this up like so. So do that on this side as well. Untab that, rotate this around, and then this piece folds up and just kind of sits right there. Come down here, you kind of angle these just to clear up some area here. Let's see. Well, let's come around here and kind of get these down. You can come around here to this piece. Lift this, detach this, and hinge this all the way up, kind of getting it out of the way. Come back to this back section here, unhook this, and that'll kind of free up everything up here. This is definitely a case of I wish it was a little bit bigger just for clearance purposes. So pull this apart. Again, pull this apart. try not to rotate any of this. Get this kind of out of the way. Angle these out like that, and then take this and fold this back like so. Tab that down, and then do that on this side. Kind of rotate that. Get that down. Now this is the configuration that you're going to want the shoulders to be in. Definitely make note of this when you're transformed for the first time, because this can get a little bit confusing. First, and I'll do my best to show it to you guys so you don't have to memorize it too much. Hinge this. You got two different hinges that will swivel things out. You got this one here, and then you got a rotation right here. So kind of just rotate there. And as you do that, rotate that till that's swiveled out just like so. Then you can come around here to this. That's, again, pull this down, loosen this piece up, fold that, bring these little pieces out like so, fold this head out, take this piece. This is going to, oh, well, I'm sorry, okay. Once you have all this like this, let's see, detach that. Rotate this whole assembly around. Get that kind of pulled forward and out of the way. There you go. And then rotate this whole assembly all the way around. So now that's going to be between his legs. Go ahead and separate these if you want to. Bring these around at the knee area. Do that on the other side. And then take this piece right here. You want to tuck this down and then fold this piece back. When you bring this back, you got a little tab right here that will lock into the back, this thing, so that locks all that into place like so. Do that on this side as well. Bring this back and lock that into place just like so. Keep this pushed forward, and then these bits right here, well, let's see. Okay, so you rotated that around, then rotate the upper one around, and that's just gonna hinge back, kind of put right there. These little bits right here, you can see that they slide them back, and then they will angle inward right there. When you do that, you can bring this piece over, make sure that that's pushed all the way down, and then you got this little tab or slot that's going to tab into. So just bring that up, lock that into place, push that around, angle these around. I really wish that these could collapse down. That would look a lot better and go a long way towards making him look more movie accurate. Let me come up a little bit here, make sure I get everything in frame. So that's definitely an aspect that I wish they could fix. Now you can leave it. I think a lot of times we were leaving them just kind of dangling like this, but if you look at some of the CGI images, it's more like that, and that's where, like, I wish that this could collapse. I mean, you could see like there's a slot section right here. Oh, well, you couldn't because it was not focused. There's like a slot section here. Like, I wish that whole thing could slide back, but it doesn't seem like it can. Take this little piece right here, that will fold up. Do that on that side as well. And then these arms, you want to bring them around. You got a little section right here. This is going to swivel around and tab and lock into place there. Do that on this side as well. Lock that in. And then you just bring these arms down. Bring the arms down. You can then come back here to this section. These little bits here will detach. Kind of push down and then lift up. Swivel them all the way around. Then you can play with these however you see fit in terms of the positioning of them. I kind of like doing it like this. Gets it a little bit closer to the tank treads right there. And when you're done, get him kind of standing there. There you have Brawl in his robot mode. And for the most part, I am pretty happy with how this figure turned out. There are some weird aspects about him, but some of those weird aspects are fairly accurate to how he looked in the movie. But then there's a few other aspects that I think that they could have done better. As you can see, his weapons here can be plugged in on the side. They just have little ports right there. He can also hold them if you really wanted to, but I don't know why you would want to. But again, I don't know why that needs to move, I feel like that's pointless. Then you just make that all one piece. I mean, at least it's a different color. One of the aspects that I think that they could have done a little bit better on this figure would be the coloring. The green isn't bad. The silver looks really good as well. But I just wish there was some extra paint detail thrown into them. I think it would have given a much better kind of overall feel for him, especially here with these little grill sections. I do wish that there was maybe some silver or white or something. I mean, they're already using a lot of silver, so I mean, if you put a little bit of silver like on the tips, that would have nicely broken up all of that. As it is, it doesn't look bad. I just wish that there was a little bit extra done to it, especially since we know that Takara is basically just releasing these as Hasbro does. So they're not going to be putting a lot of paint into it that isn't already here. But the silver does look really nice. You got a little bit of a dark gray thrown out there as well. The overall look, though, is really nice. He does have a much more like slender look than that original 2007 leader toy did, but this is a lot more movie accurate, especially with these weird ugly shoulders. They're spindly, and that's how that they were, so I can't complain too much. I don't like how they did the hands. I mean, I like the fact that they painted them and you can differentiate them, but all this green around it and how it's just kind of there, I feel like that's a little bit lazy for a Voyager figure. That's something that I can look past on a deluxe figure. On a Voyager, I'm a little bit more stringent, I think, and I don't like how that turned out. The face sculpt looks amazing. The detail on there coming in to take a closer look. I do wish there was some red thrown into the eyes or something, but really nice sculpt on there. The paint also looks really good. Really does help pull a lot of those details out. But then staying in here just so that you can kind of see, you got those cannons here in the back. I think that for the most part, these are done the way they are with the ball joints so that you can get a pretty decent range of motion any way that you want, going left and right here in robot mode. But I think tank mode, it looks a little bit strange. I also don't... Yeah, he's got a cannon between his legs. Yeah, I said it. At least within, honestly, I don't know if the actual, I don't remember seeing it in the movie. I probably have to go back and look to see if this cannon wrapped around here like the leader class toy did, or maybe Hasbro just did that the way that they wanted to. Legs look really good, very angular pattern with a lot of the detail. Again, you can see some nice silver and gray up here in the hip area, down here in the knee, also on the shin, and then you look down at the feet and you have all those weird little prongs that are basically his toes. Now, for some comparisons, again, in, I guess, general, the scale is meant to be more accurate in terms of robot mode. So setting him there, here you have him with a couple other of the Studio Series figures. Starscream was a little bit taller than he was in terms of robot mode, so this works. Taking a look at Jazz here, he is definitely much smaller, as he should be. So again, fairly accurate in terms of the representation. Bringing in a leader class figure, here he is with Blackout again. Blackout was kind of a massive character, so, well, and he also wants to fall down. Come on, Blackout. He's blacking out. What do you want me to do about it, guys? So let me stand him there. Bring this over here. So again, scale-wise, this is pretty decent. I like the way that this kind of shapes up. Let me bring in another. Well, two others. Here we have them with Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. Again, Bumblebee being a little bit smaller of a character. Optimus was smaller than, I mean, a lot of people really give him credit for, especially when you compare him to Megatron. We'll take a look at that here in a bit. But he's pretty good size here with Brawl. So I'm happy with the overall scale. Yes, tank mode, not all that accurate. It's okay, but it definitely is, you know, more accurate when you look at the robot mode. And honestly, most people are going to display him in robot mode anyhow. So I'm not, I guess, too terribly upset. But let's bring in that original leader class figure here. And honestly, it's a much better figure here. Like I said, I don't know necessarily if this is accurate to the movie. I don't remember. You don't have to do this or anything, which is something that you could do for the toy. But both of them still look really very good. He's definitely a bulkier figure, but there's a lot that is very similar between them with the legs, you know, the different arm pieces. You know, I mean, obviously these ones are permanently attached and everything, but I think if you're going to go tank mode wise, this is a little bit more in scale with the rest of the figures. But this guy is probably the best representation that we've gotten of him in robot mode. For his articulation, he is a very nicely articulated figure. The head here is just on a swivel. You don't, well, no, there is a little bit of a ball joint, so you do get a little bit of up and down, but looking left and right. The shoulders here do swing in and out and then forward and back, but it is a much smaller joint, and then you can see all this. I mean, it almost looks like this should be the shoulder, but it's all up here. But again, that's fairly accurate to how it looked. He does bend at the elbow. He also does swivel at the elbow, and then you also do have this weird outward bend at the elbow. So, I mean, well, it's part of the transformation, but a lot of weirdness. Nothing at the waist, unfortunately. The hips do move forward and back. Those just look like they're on swivel joints. And then you do have a hinge in and out. He does rotate. Yeah, he rotates at the knee, bends at the knee, and then unfortunately nothing at the ankles. I mean, so when you're putting them down, the feet are gonna look a little bit weird because they're not gonna lay flush. They're gonna go off on an angle, but hey, again, he's still pretty darn cool looking. In general, I'm happy with him. There are aspects that I don't like, but it's still a really solid figure. And hey, for one more comparison, here we have him with Baby Groot. Baby Groot. Alright, now to transform him back, he can get a little bit tricky to do going back into his tank mode. First, I'm going to rotate these around here, just kind of put those where they're going to need to be. Come around here, detach these arms, and fold those back just like so. The shoulders do get tricky when you're going back in, so we'll cover that here in a bit. Let's see, let's rotate these, get this back down, tab that back in. It's a little bit easier when you do it to come from the bottom and then slide up. That kind of locks it in there a little bit better. Keep these up, and you rotate this around, kind of bring this back, and set that right there for now. Let's bring these bits out, take these little side pieces. These are going to angle down. Do that on this side as well. Bring those little pieces down like so. Then you can bring forward the chest. Again, kind of keep these out of the way. We're going to take these little pieces, fold these in, and then fold the head back. Just like that, and then bring these pieces in. You have this, kind of angle this out, and then bring that all the way down, fold this up. Let's see, bring this forward, fold this. Oh, wait, hold on. This whole thing, I forgot. When you have that, then rotate that all the way around, and then bring this whole section up like so, and then take the head, keep these down there, bring the head back, and then on the inside here, this is a little bit tricky, keep that all the way down. On the inside here are little tabs that are going to lock into place here on the underside of that. So kind of bring that around, and let's see, there we go. Lock that up just like so. Then you can take these, you can bring these forward just like that. Again, like this part here gets a little bit tricky with knowing how to position these arms. So I'll fiddle with that a little bit more here in a second. First, I'm going to take the feet and fold these. Well, you have this little piece. Fold this out and then fold the feet up just like that. Lock that into place there. So bring that up. That will lock into place. Then bring these two halves together, squeeze that like so, and then take these. You'll be able to bring these out. You're gonna have to fit those up here in a second. So now it's just a matter of trying to remember how to rotate this around and orientate this piece here. So I think it's just like that. for it. And then bring this, fold this piece out like that. And yeah, I think that's the way that it's going to go. So that, keep that lifted up. So then again, you bring this up, angle this back at that main hinge, and then as you do that, rotate here. So bring that down like that, and again, trying to keep this out of the way. That's kind of the orientation that you're going to want everything to look like. At least I think. I'm hoping. Bring this around. This sandwiches around here. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Then this part, again, gets a little bit tricky. Fold this all the way back so it's along the back section, and then you sandwich all of this together here. Bring that just like that, and then you'll be able to lock that piece in. Kind of put these little bits right there, getting things back the way that they need to be. Then take this, fold this back like that. Do that on the other side as well. This is going to rotate around, and if you have everything lined up properly, you will have, it's kind of tricky to see, you will have this little piece right here that will slot in on the side there. So just get that lined up, give that a nice little squeeze. Do that on this side as well. Give that a nice little squeeze. Now, as I said, the instructions tell you to tab that down. You can, you don't have to. If you want to have that turret rotating around, you can leave it like that. But when you're done, there you have Brawl back in his tank mode. But again, a really good representation of Brawl. As I said, tank mode, I feel, is a little bit smaller. It's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but a tank is pretty big. So I still think that that leader class one does a good job of replicating the size. But the scale for these is really more or less designed to replicate how they look in robot mode. And I think that they did that very well. With all the other Studio Series figures, he scales just about perfectly. And that does make me really happy. The transformation is fairly, I mean, and I said this, a lot of the Studio Series figures kind of build on the transformation that we got on other versions of the character. This guy is no different. There is some similar aspects to him, but different enough that he is still fun to do. The only tricky part is making sure that you have the shoulders lined up properly. But once you do it a few times, it's really not that hard at all. At the end of the day, I really like the guy. I think he looks good. There's some aspects that I think that they could have improved on, such as paint applications and then like the hands. But the general gist of the figure is really very good. So, all that being said, if the new Studio Series Brawl here is a figure that you'd like to add to your collection, he is hitting various retailers right now. So if you're looking for him, good luck and happy hunting. Or as always, there's Big Bad Toy Store. So for that, all you have to do is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to BBTS where you can check out availability on this guy, as well as the rest of the wide range of new Transformers Studio Series figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Remember, if you like this video, I would really appreciate your support and letting me know by hitting that thumbs up button. It actually does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really appreciate it. Also, if you're new here, welcome. And before you go, make sure you subscribe in case you haven't already subscribed. That way you'll get instant email notifications whenever I upload a new video, and you'll never miss out on a future review of mine. Or hey, if you're already subscribed, now more than ever it's important to make sure that you are getting those email notifications. We all know just how unreliable that YouTube subscription box is, and the best way to help support my channel and not miss any future reviews of mine is to click on that little bell right below this video and double check your settings to make sure that they're set so that you get those email notifications. And a very special thanks to you if you made it all the way to the end of this review. Another way that you can really help support my channel is making sure that you watch a video all the way through. And if you did that, thank you. And finally, remember, the real trouble with the world is too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.